Assalamu alaikum and welcome to Perspective. It's another day of rifts and conflicts emerging as far as the Supreme Court is concerned. With Justice Issa now saying decisions emanating from a courtroom overcast with the shadow of autocracy cannot displace constitution. These are just some of the remarks that have been made within this very controversial case now. This controversy now surrounding the Chief Justice of Pakistan. We've also now seen that the President has not signed on the legislation as far as the bill curbing the power pursuant to suo motu that has been coming from the assemblies at this time. That of course means that it will just delay the passing of the legislation by another 10 days, but it does show the kind of conflict that is imminent as far as our political parties are concerned, the office of the President of Pakistan is concerned, the office of the Chief Justice of Pakistan is concerned, as far as the conflict within the Supreme Court is concerned, that is exposed by the remarks that have come, the dissenting notes, the rather inflammatory dissenting notes that have surfaced since this very important case. We'll be talking about this. We'll also be talking about what talks, if any, we can expect between political parties. There seems to be some move towards some kind of dialogue, which is, according to some parties, the ultimate solution. But is everyone ready to go forward towards those talks? Of course, initially we saw the dogmatic attitude of the opposition, if we talk about the former Prime Minister, with a categorical no. Now there seems to be somewhat mixed signals, and whether the government is now also ready to talk is an important question. All of that today on Perspective. I have with me Agha, Iqrar, Haroon, who is a political analyst. Thank you for joining us. We also have with us Mustafa Baloch, who is with the PPP. Thank you for being with us. And we have with us Siddique Farooq from the PML-N. Thank you for joining us. And Barrister Azmat, who is an advocate of the Supreme Court. Thank you for joining us today. Agha Sahab, to start off with, like I said, it seems to, it's not only, if we look at the landscape at this time, we look at the highest offices of Pakistan, whether we talk about the President, whether we talk about the CJ, we talk about, overall, it seems to be at this time the Parliament on one side and the Supreme Court on the other. In this kind of environment, what is the solution?
Solution is very simple. Everybody should work within his own parameters and given ground. One should not go for encroachment and you can say breach of his trust to nation. This is the only solution. Because if you go through this 25 pages, technically 24 pages of dissenting note of Atharullah Sahab, this note has asked me why should not Articles 62 and 63 should be implement or launched at least to someone else now. Because Azmatullah Sahab saying that I at no level, at no place, I refrain from hearing and recuse from sitting over there. But what we know out of this,
whether he recused or he was removed,
no,
or
he said, I have never given my attention for recuse, or I never said no, I would not sit in the bench. But what we have seen in Supreme Court, I had been covering that. We were told that he is not sitting in the
but there is now a very eminent division within the Supreme Court.
This is not only division.
Okay.
This is a matter. Someone at least out of two have given us wrong information. At least one. Because one is saying I was not recusing. The second told us he is not attending.
You're saying that which statement is accurate is the question.
And according to that, then 62, 63 should be implemented. At least one of them is not, sharing the facts.
But is that the solution? Let me go to Mustafa. Mustafa, is that the solution in the kind of political climate that is so polarized? With now the Supreme Court unfortunately also jumping into that foray, is that the solution?
Mahrukh, actually, I think this is the time for a collective wisdom, and from all the power corridors, I guess there should be, and I guess there is a certain kind of feeling that, if we can't just burn the house because of one man's ego, because he just wants things his way. So I think People's Party has initiated that we are ready for talks with, and we are ready to engage all the political parties, because we have got this democracy back with a lot of struggle. We can't just let it go like this. So I think whatever is happening and the dissenting notes coming in from Honorable Supreme Court is also not in the interest of the judiciary.
Right, fair enough. Let me go to Siddique Farooq Sahab. Siddique Farooq Sahab, there is, Mustafa Sahab is saying that the PPP has initiated this move for talks between political parties. Is your party also going to welcome such talks? Are you ready to talk? Because, on the one hand, it's not now a question of who's right and who's wrong. It's a question of, the overall landscape, the political landscape, the legal landscape that is now littered with so much tension, with so much conflict, that there has to be some kind of thawing. There has to be someone has to be the bigger person here, right? You need to unmute yourself, Siddique Farooq sir. Siddique Farooq sir, I can't hear you. Let me come back to you. I'm going to go to Haris. Is it now that these dissenting notes have surfaced, what do you see as the solution to this problem? Is it, as a lawyer, what is the legal recourse to what's happened as far as this case is concerned? Review now, which will be a full bench that will, give us some answers. What is the legal solution?
Well, I don't think so. Under normal circumstances, yes, review is a normal course of action to file. But in such a polarized environment, I don't think so. Review is a solution. As Justice Atar Manila has pointed out in while concluding his additional note, that everybody needs to take a step back and set aside their egos, and he, as in Justice Atar Manila's words, including the Supreme Court. Unless there is some sort of a harmony and between the judges, there is no point of a review here. The divide is absolutely clear. Even just today, there has been another additional note by Justice Qazi Fazisa that was initially there on the Supreme Court website, and then now it has been taken down from the Supreme Court website. So the legal proposition, whether it's a 4-3 or a 3-2 judgment, is actually so complex that there is merit on both sides, and the law is not clear. Probably the full court is the solution, or a full court on the administrative side of the judges, where the judges can just sit together. What is happening is, and in my 17 years of legal standing, at least I've not seen it, that judges actually discussing each other in open court while in judgments, and such scathing remarks against each other is absolutely not good for the public confidence, and it's the institution that is suffering. As Justice Manila has rightly concluded, that when such political charged up questions come to the court, it's one party may lose, but eventually
It's
the
the court.
bigger loser is always the court in such scenario. Because
Harris,
because
procedurally speaking, in your opinion, if this was a normal, I mean, if this was not such a hyped up case for 1 second, what would be the solution in this? I mean, the procedure ends with this judgment, or there would be, like you said, review according to you is not a solution, but legally the steps up, I mean, if you want to go forward, the only way forward is a review, as I understand, or no?
the problem with I'll tell you what the problem with the review, in my opinion, is. As per the Supreme Court rules, the review is heard by the same number of judges, and as far as possible, the same judges. Now, the question is, if the review were to come, will it be heard by a 5-member bench, which announced a 3-2 judgment, or will it be heard by a 7 or a 9-member bench if
Okay.
that was initially constituted. So the problem would be the same. And in
So it
fact, if the
cannot.
review were
So
to come and the issue that is there would multiply.
so it cannot, under any circumstances, be heard by a full bench, because there never was a full bench in this case.
Well, if the Chief Justice would want in his, because he's the master of the rolls, the minimum number of judges have to be there, which could be 5 or 7. But yes, the review can be heard by a full member bench.
Do you think that's a
And
solution?
I think that's the only solution. And the one side of the judges will have to bow before whatever the decision of the full member benches, and even the government and the opposition would have to agree. Otherwise, we are on a brink of an absolute disaster.
So at this time, when I want to go to Siddique Farooq Saab, but primarily at this time, there is no judgment effectively in the field as far as the 90-day period of the elections is concerned, as far as the issue of the suo motu is concerned, or there is, I mean, you know, for all practical purposes, as far as, you know, after these dissenting notes have surfaced, there is no effectiveness of the judgment itself and there is no validity of it. Is that true?
If you're talking to the legal experts who believe it's a 4-3 judgment, then there is no 90-day judgment in the field. In fact, the one 90-day judgment in the field is that of the High Court. Then the
Yes.
majority view is that the matter must be referred back to the High Court to be decided in 3 days. But if you believe in the 3-2 judgment, then it's a categorical clear direction by the court to hold the elections within the 90-day mandatory period.
And that also, to an extent, would you agree, is influenced by political affiliations?
Well, I can't really comment on that, whether the judges were motivated by
No, not
political
the judges. I'm
affiliation.
saying the belief, the lawyers. I'm not talking about the judges. I'm saying that the belief that the lawyers have, whichever side they want to believe, whether it's a 4-3 judgment or a 3-2 judgment, is would you say maybe influenced by political affiliations also? I mean, one can't
Well,
say no.
well, one can't say no, but actually the proposition and the issue is so complex that somebody, a neutral like me, I can go either way too. I can debate on the 4-3, which has a lot of merit, and there is a lot of merit on the 3-2 as well. So it's I would say it's been badly handled, so that there is no clarity whether it's a 4-3 and 3-2, and there is absolute merit on both sides. And of course there are political considerations involved in it too. One side of lawyers who are from one political party firmly believes it's a 4-3, and the other set of political lawyers firmly believe in a 3-2. But a lot of neutral lawyers are confused too, because it's a quagmire.
Okay, fair enough. Let me come back to you, and I want to talk more about where you think this is eventually going to land up. But Siddique Farooq Saab, can you hear me now?
Yes,
Siddique Farooq Saab, your Mustafa here from the PPP has said that there is, you know, a move by, and we've also seen Bilawal Bhutto Saab echo this, as far as you know, the statement is concerned, his statement, Bilawal Saab's statement, that is being echoed by his own party, that there should be dialogue. Do you think that there's going to be, your party is going to be, you know, also taking that view? Or do you think that there is a confusion as far as dialogue is concerned about talking to the former Prime Minister now? Because earlier on we had seen a refusal to engage in talks by the opposition, the former Prime Minister himself. But isn't that the only solution at this time?
First of all, no political party can reject dialogue. It must enter into a dialogue, provide agenda, and there are no conditions. So, if such is the approach, all parties, they should sit together and hold a dialogue to get country out of the present quagmire. But if an offer is marred with preconditions, then dialogue is not possible. Second,
Siddique Farooq sir, we've been talking about this for a while. We've been talking about the fact that, you know, are we going to talk? Are we not going to talk? Is one side ready? Is the other side not ready? You know, we have made an offer as far as the government is concerned. The opposition saying no. We've been in this for a while now. Of course, the government is at the helm of affairs. The government is also at this time fielding legislation that is, you know, we've seen aiming as far as, you know, to regulate the power of the Chief Justice to take suo motu is concerned. Is it true that there might be legislation that is also going to regulate, so to speak, the power of the President?
That I don't know, but as far as the powers of Chief Justice regarding suo motu are concerned, these amendments were overdue. And everyone recognizes that these amendments were overdue, right amendments have been passed, but only PTI objects to it with reference to time, choice of time. Otherwise, they don't say that these amendments are bad.
But Siddique Farooq sahab, it's not that the amendments are wrong. The question for the PTI at this time is also the fact that they are perhaps, you know, looking back and thinking that they don't have a presence in the parliament at this time at all. So they're very much out of, you know, they can't debate, they can't put their views across. Do you think that perhaps this is you know, influenced by that regret also?
Maybe, but it was their own choice. They dissolved provincial assemblies. They boycotted and resigned from National Assembly. Of course, they retain their seats in the Senate. They should have retained seats in the National Assembly.
Fair enough.
So it is their mistake of conduct. So they will have to taste the medicine now. But the House is proper functioning, and the democratic and constitutional requirements are met duly. So when the House is in order and it is discussing various legislation, various pieces of legislation, and it is making law, etc., so then I think there is no problem in it. But it is for the PTI. If they want to come back, they should have to proper.
But Siddique Farooq sahab, does it not suit the government also to have some kind of dialogue with the opposition or no?
I am not opposing. I have suggested that these offers should not be marred with preconditions. A national agenda should be marred.
What kind of preconditions are there?
They are suggesting certain conditions that this should be done like this and this should be done like this. There should be an open discussion.
Isn't the primary contention between you and the opposition right now the issue of elections and the fact that, you know, when they can actually be held? And if that can be worked upon, then perhaps other things will follow?
There is economy, law and order. There is a problem of holding elections. So everything is linked with other. That's why I say that it should be national.
Okay, let me come back to you. Agha Iqrar sahab, do you think it's, you know, first of all, we saw the PTI leaving the parliament. Then we saw them going for dissolution. Do you think that perhaps now, considering the atmosphere at this time, where the parliament can legislate on anything they want, you know, at this, there's no bar. In fact, you know, that's one of the first things they teach you at law school also, that the parliament is supreme. We are in a parliamentary democracy. That you know, there's no bar on that. The point is, do you think that there is now a conscious move by the PTI to backtrack on those decisions? Is the PTI chief perhaps regretting that road?
No, actually they wanted to come back since almost 3 or 4 months. First of all, let me add my opinion about this. Sorry, 3-4 decision or 3-2 decision, 4-3. Actually, after this note of dissent of Atamillah, I think there is no, you can say, ambiguity left. It was 4-3.
Okay.
Because we are three people sitting over there, and I am saying I am part of three. You are saying no, Iqrar, I cannot see you. We are two only. But I am again crying. No, I am here. We are three. So what is the reality actually? Are we three or are we two? Of course we are three. So when Atal Mirza Sahib himself is saying, I was sitting in a bench, I wanted to be part of the bench, and he has given his note, he has given his verdict. That is against the verdict of, the person, they are claiming they were three. So this is clear. I think if there is no ambiguity, there is no ambiguity left over that. Now come to the point of this, the political strategy. Unfortunately, PTI has exploited all its cards. They are no more in provincial assemblies. They are in National Assembly. Actually, courts supported them, and you can go to the court and sit over there. I mean, there is a verdict of that. So they are not in National Assembly, they are not in Provincial Assembly, they are sitting outside and they are fighting it. They are fighting through what? Through their, as usual, a mob politics.
Do you think that mob politics is going to help them? Because, there doesn't seem to be that kind of the fervor that the former Prime Minister was expecting. Do you think his people are also tired? Do you think overall it's becoming difficult now?
Yes, people are tired. You have seen how many people had gone for their arrest. Maximum 200 or 400 people. No, the problem is this, you are saying there should be a dialogue, and I always respect Pakistan People's Party that always believe in constitution and supremacy of parliament, and they believe in dialogue. But I have seen in my life of 35 years in journalism, dialogue has never ever supported the right party. If you start from Zulfikar Ali Bhutto Sahab, he engaged himself in a dialogue with the PNA, but with the history has testified it was his wrong move. He should have not gone for this dialogue.
Do you see any other solution to this the problem?
This is the time, Mahrukh, let it be open now. Let it be layer by layer open. What is the dynamics of Pakistan? Let it be this dust and dirt over there. Let it be decided by the time now. Everybody is being exposed. This is the God has given us an opportunity to go through this passage.
But Agha Sahib, is it worth it? Is it worth it to our economy? Is it worth it to our society? Is it worth it to the polarization in our society?
Yes, if you will again go for some artificial cosmetic surgery of this entire bad face, definitely you would give some room to all those actors who had been ruling this country for the last 75 years. Let it be natural now.
I think I'm going to let Mustafa answer this. I'm going to let Mustafa answer this. Mustafa, how would you answer this, that instead of going for dialogue, let things be, which is what Agha Sahib is saying?
With all due respect to Agha Sahib, I think that would be again going towards an adventurism, and right now I don't think so we can afford that. But Mahrukh, to be honest, the fact is that this is selective justice by a selected bench for a selected leader. And the reason why People's Party and I guess all the coalition partners are not in favor of early elections in Punjab is because once whoever wins Punjab will definitely have an upper hand in general elections. So then the claim of Chairman Bilawal is right, that is it all about Takhte Punjab? Because why KPK elections were handed over to high courts? Why not discussed in the upper courts?
But do you think it's possible that the opposition, primarily the PTI, may be agreeable to having elections together in October? I mean, with talks, we've seen some of their leaders voice that also.
That's why I think People's Party has initiated the procedure of talks with all the political parties, because naturally we believe, that's our belief, that things can be solved in a proper diplomatic way. But I think with dialogue there also should be the genuine demand of Parliament about full court. Without full court, I don't think so things will move on. And a full court, whatever the full court decides, I think that should be acceptable for both the parts.
Right, fair enough. Haris, is it possible? Do you think that, you know, as far as this full court demand is concerned, even if we go for a full court demand at this time, if it's accepted, full court is made, do you think that this polarization that has been exposed, there is a way to go back on this, the way that it's now making the Supreme Court look, the way that it's making your Chief Justice also, you know, unfortunately become a part of this. You know, it's for everyone to see. It's quite open now. Of course, at a time where it was you know, the sanctity of the court, we're discussing judges, the way that they have been discussed, the way that even today we are talking about this, is something of a you know, it isn't the normal. Would you agree?
I absolutely agree. And if there is a full court, it might not ease the pain right now, and it might further expose the divide amongst the judges. Unless everybody is setting aside their ego and willing to give in, and there's some sort of a backdoor settlement amongst judges, I don't think so. Sitting together in a full court is the solution. Already the public confidence is at an absolute low in terms of our institutions. As Justice Manila has absolutely rightly pointed out, and it is because the parliamentarians have not resolved their disputes in the forums that have been given by the Constitution. And unfortunately, they've come to courts. And in such a politically charged up cases, it has to go one way or the other. And then you see, I've never seen this kind of public criticism of judges as it is now. And what it does is that these are judges which are deciding people's fate of people's lives and properties also. What if a whole village gets up and says that this hanging of our brother is not it's by a selective bench? What happens
And
then?
it's not only cases where, you know, you've mentioned a village, but there are cases in this country that are, you know, cases of blasphemy. There are sensitive cases in this country which have to be adjudicated upon by, you know, the highest court of the land. And like you said, these pressure tactics, or the way, you know, it's certainly making the court more vulnerable, if nothing else.
Absolutely. And what it's also doing is it's already very difficult to find good judges. Not many top lawyers would want to become judges. And when I speak to some very good lawyers who could have become judges, they say that's precisely the reason. Why would we want to leave our flourishing practices and go in the snake's pit, as they say? We're pretty happy there. So somebody needs to come forward. Even in a 4-3-3-2 divide, it's not a very complicated divide. What is the 4-3 divide? The majority, 4 judges, they're not saying that the election should be held in 90 days. All they're saying is that it's the High Court which should decide it, because the provincial High Court must be given the autonomy. So maybe one solution could be the majority 3-2, as one calls it, might give in and say, okay, Justice Mansoor Ali Shah, as he was the lead author of the 4-3 judgment, he's saying the High Court should decide it within 3 days. So if the minority or the 3-2 bench would have agreed, it's only 3 days. It could have been, the matter could end in the High Court today and be resolved over the weekend. So it's not a big dispute, but as Justice Manila has rightly pointed out, it's a clash of egos. Yeah, it's a clash of egos, and it's out there, unfortunately.
Okay, Haris, another thing before I go to Siddique Farooq Saab, this you know, the President's move to send this back, of course, is not going to do anything except delay this legislation by maybe 10 days. Correct me if I'm wrong, and it will pass through anyway, whether he gives it his approval or not. Isn't that correct? G, can you hear me?
The matter will now go back to the joint sitting of the Parliament, and if the joint sitting decides the matter, then President can't oppose it.
Right, of course. So what is it then? In fact, he is now only doing this. I mean, it seems. Let me come back to you, Siddique Farooq Saab. This move, what is it saying? Is it saying that is it echoing his allegiance to a political party? Is he saying that, you know, this loyalty to his political party that is making him withhold that assent and nothing else, when he knows that it's going to go forward anyway? So again, you know, it's not just the CJ or the office of the Chief Justice, but now of course it's the office of the President of Pakistan also. So there is all round this kind of polarization, right?
Of course, he has not acted as symbol of unity of the nation. He has acted as a party worker, and this is not appreciable. But he cannot stop legislation. It will be endorsed by the joint sitting of the parliament, and then, inshallah, it will become law. It will become piece of law, piece of legislation, inshallah.
Right, fair enough. Let me come back to you. Agha, is it again, you know, when you have the president also, you know, this is not just one occasion. We've seen this in the past also, and the PML-N has been saying this for a while, that perhaps, you know, the office of the president needs to be without political affiliation, and there is an, you know, the fact that there is no, you know, clearly one political party, and the fact that, you know, the president seems to be perhaps in that camp, is also exposing the office of the President of Pakistan in a way that's not seemly.
You are right, but this is very natural. After all, he is a human being also. So he is not, I mean, giving respect to his office is something else. But we have to go a little in history. As Atul Amin Saab, they have mentioned, he has mentioned that politicians are going to Supreme Court. He is absolutely right. But politicians will keep going to the Supreme Court or any courts until unless we review the power of the president and power of the speaker. If you go through the case of Chaudhry Amir Hussain, when he passed a bill and then he made Musharraf as the president when 87% of opposition were not present. So this was the first time the politicians thought we should go to curtail the power of the speaker, and there are many instances politicians have talked about that we should go for the curtail of the power of the president. But unfortunately, politicians didn't go. They have not changed their constitution until unless power of the speaker are reviewed and curtailed, powers of the president are reviewed and curtailed, politicians will keep going to the courts, because what we have seen, I mean, in recent past, the kind of the speaker of PTI, I mean, the speaker disbanded the assembly by using the power of the speaker. So the power of the president, to my understanding, this is simply a wastage of time. One, a bill is passed by the parliament.
Yes, it's
parliament is the supreme. Then why you are waiting to it should go to the president, and president should think about that, then whether he signs or not, he sends back to the parliament, and then parliament takes another 14 days. What is it? I mean, until unless you change or curtail the power of the president and the speaker, I am telling you today, speaker power has to be curtailed, otherwise Minla Sahab will see that every politician is going to Supreme Court. Once they do this, then politician would be in a position and the parliament would be in a position to work independently.
It's not going to end like this, because, you know, there is already talk about the next Chief Justice, and the fact that, you know, perhaps there are assertions being cast in that direction also. So like you are saying, it's not going to end with this Chief Justice, you know, it doesn't seem like it. I mean, it can come from another political party, the assertions can come from
and
the other
secondly, look, this is very unfortunate in Pakistan. If you want to be a civil judge or as a magistrate, you have to go through a written test and then interview, and then you are assigned this ship, I mean magistrate ship. This, I mean, the rules are same for magistrate powers, for the induction of the civil judges and induction of the session judges. Then there is no cadre. I mean, after session judge, you don't need any written examination, you don't need any interview.
You're talking about
a person who has a 10-year experience in High Court, he can be made judge in a one single stroke This is very unfortunate.
This is you know, we're talking about large scale judicial reforms at this
Yes,
time, which
this is
no
what I'm
political
saying.
party has gone for. There was talk by the PTI earlier on, you know, there was talk about judicial reforms, there was, you know, so much on the agenda,
Yes.
but it remained largely on the agenda.
Because this suits to the political parties now. They, I mean, this our super class. Our super class chooses their children and their sons and their relatives to put as the judges. This suits them, so they don't want to change it.
Mustafa, if you know, your suggestion, your party's suggestion as far as dialogue is concerned, if it's not followed through, do you sorry, do you see another solution at this time?
Mahrukh, actually, I think I don't think so. There is any solution apart from dialogue, and because as far as political parties are concerned, they can only you know, sit and just talk and take out a solution. We can't just bring a mob with us like former Prime Minister Imran Khan.
Is that the option, as far as, you know, he's again talking about bringing his people to the streets as far as the former Prime Minister is concerned? Do you think that's lost its effectiveness for, you know, it seems?
Yes, he has lost it, and I guess he's also trying to, because earlier I saw his statement where he was ready for some kind of talks. So we can't just, that's the reason why, you know, the government is also in a very awkward position, that whether he's actually willing to talk or he's just pretending to talk. And apart from that, if we talk about the powers of president, then I guess the credit should be given to former President Asif Zardari, who handed over the powers of president to the parliament. Otherwise, if 58(2)B was there with Arif Alvi, he would have immediately dissolved the federal government and the parliament. So this is something, the credit which should be given to People's Party. And apart from that, I guess all the political parties should you know, keep their personal interest aside, and I guess the sitting government is not running away from elections. We are ready for elections, and we just want things to go in a proper way. And why the Supreme Court did not question about the reason why both the assemblies were dissolved. The root cause was that, and that was not even discussed. Farooq Naik was not heard. Why was it just like, you know, it was just like they were giving a walkover to a single party because due to maybe certain kind of likeness or affiliation, I don't know. But this was again, I would say it was a selective justice.
Okay. Siddique Farooq Sahab, as far as the PML, I mean, of course, there are this time numerous challenges as far as your party is concerned. There's also the economic side of things. As far as, you know, the next budget, economy is concerned, the IMF deal, all of those things. And even when we talk about these dissenting notes, again and again, you know, if we talk about Athar Manila Sahab, he's also categorically said again and again, political stability is what's going to lead to economic stability. If the former Prime Minister keeps on talking about bringing his people to the streets, there is, you know, as far as, you know, going through to the legal side, you know, going to courts on one pretext or another, embroiling the courts in this, you know, this fight, which is, you know, coming as far as the opposition is concerned. Again and again, there is talk about going to the courts on political questions also. It's not going to bring stability.
As far as bringing people the roads is concerned, there he has failed. But knocking at the doors of judiciary, there I think he has been supported by the judiciary, and that's why people are criticizing, especially Chief Justice of Pakistan, because when he constitutes a bench, calm man and people predict the judgment and its strength, whether it will be, the judgment will be given with 3 against 2 or 1 against 2. So this is very bad. I think it is for the Chief Justice of Pakistan to see, to ponder and come to terms. And if, say, any legal community, any lawyers community comes forward and convinces the Chief Justice to sit with brother judges, because all members of the Supreme Court are brother judges, equally qualified, and he should pose confidence in his brothers and let the full court sit and pass a judgment if not with consensus, with majority, to solve these problems. I think this will be the only possible solution acceptable way out.
Okay, fair enough. Haris, unfortunately we're running out of time, but where do you see things headed on the legal side of things as far as this issue is concerned? Because there are other cases. The opposition has numerous cases as far as the former Prime Minister is concerned. There are questions of law. Again, once this legislation actually passes through, which it will, again recourse to Supreme Court is another option which the opposition is already talking about. So there are all these questions, that political questions embroiled, that are going to embroil the law fraternity. They're going to embroil the judges also into the political side of things. So where do you think things are headed?
Who's the actual loser in all this is the ordinary litigant. At the moment, there are 2 vacancies of Supreme Court judges. There are 15 at the moment. And considering the divide right now, there is no chance that the 2 vacancies can be filled in. In the Lahore High Court, out of 60, there are around 40 judges. So that means there is a shortfall of 33% of the judges. Because of the dispute going on, those vacancies can't be filled in. What is the only silver lining in all this is that probably this is high time for a comprehensive judicial reform. There is no shying away from the fact that our legal system is rotten. Our legal system needs a lot of improvement. This bill that the government is bringing, although the timing is awkward, but the bill makes perfect sense as a normal lawyer and as an officer of the Supreme Court. This is a fantastic bill. Our cases, when we file ordinary cases, they're not heard in the Supreme Court. The bill says they'll be heard in 14 days' time, which is fantastic. At least there is some closure. Even if those cases are dismissed, at least we know that, that this case has come, the issue has come to an end. But it's the timing but what another thing that can happen now is probably reforms onto the appointment of judges. And there is no debate on that. And unfortunately, our parliament is also doing what is happening in the courts. The bill has been passed in 5 minutes without any debate. Somebody has already written a bill. I'm sure 90% of the parliaments even don't know what the bill is. Because of and all these things need improvement as well, how the quality of the debate in the parliament as well. So let's hope that these issues can be resolved soon. But unfortunately, I'm pessimist on this.
I don't that we have. Thank you so much for being with us. Agha, Iqrar, Haroon Saab, thank you for joining us. Mustafa Baloch, thank you for being with us. Siddique Farooq Saab, thank you for joining us today. Barrister Haris Azmat, thank you for being with us today. Of course, overall, as far as these issues are concerned, whether they're political, whether they're legal and political, they do highlight that there is need for reform. Wherever, unfortunately, in Pakistan, wherever we touch the surface, we realize that there is need for reform, whether there's police reform, judicial reform is perhaps need of the day, and that has been the way that that has been brought to the surface by this controversy as far as the Supreme Court is concerned, the division is concerned, the suo motu is concerned, the promulgation of this legislation, the questioning of it is concerned, the way that the judges are appointed are concerned, all of these questions, the delay in cases are concerned. Perhaps they do bring those questions to the fore, and perhaps political parties all round need to focus on these kind of reforms so that we can go towards a better system. We can move towards a parliamentary democracy that is actually supreme. Thank you so much for joining us today on Perspective.